Let me see. Welcome, everybody. I don't know if you can hear me yet.
Hi, Alison. I can hear you.
Hi, Anne. Great to see you. How are you?
Very good. I passed through Roscommon the other day.
Did you? Very
I moved
good.
to Sligo and Leitrim, so yeah.
Oh, it's great to know that you're this next time you're around, send me a text. It'd be great to
I
see
will.
you.
I walked the Sligo Camino. I'm debating walking the Carrick and Shannon, the Leitrim Camino.
Oh, brilliant.
Great
Yeah,
fun.
I've seen it advertised. Well done,
Yeah.
you. Hi, everyone. Welcome to those that are joining. So great to see such a great crowd. That so much interest in the series. We're so delighted. There are 110 of you registered. So that is really exciting. So you're all so welcome. I know I'm sharing my screen actually. I'll keep sharing it, but I suppose because there's so many registered, I just want to keep an eye on the waiting room just for a couple of minutes. But before we get stuck into some great oil content, let's get a few things going in the chat. So I'd love to know what everyone's interested in learning about throughout the series. I won't be offended if tonight isn't your headline night. You're more looking forward to Anne's or looking forward to a different topic, but really interested to see and hear what everyone is looking forward to. And also, what's your favorite oil and why? So, you're welcome to unmute yourself either. We have a couple of minutes before we really get started. So if you don't already have some oils in front of you, if you don't have paper, a notepad, anything like that, feel free to go grab them. And grab your oils. Have your oils in front of you, particularly if you're relatively new and you want to really anchor in, as you're learning about the oils, smell them and use them. Balance. Yum. I love balance. It's beautiful. Frankincense. Is an explanation required, Nadine? For some of us, no, but if you don't mind, I think an explanation would be great because I love going to classes that are co-created by the people that are in the room because we all have different experiences. So I'm not picking on you. So if you'd like to unmute yourself or if you'd like to pop it into the chat, go ahead. Peppermint, Katie says. Maggie says frankincense as well. Catherine says air. So good at the moment for all those allergies. 100%. Wild orange, peace, forgive. Oh, jasmine for the full moon. Love it. Maggie, I'd love to learn about oregano. 100%. We're going to go through that tonight. Copaiba, Gillian. Bergamot and patchouli, beautiful. I love bergamot. Okay, let me see. Are there any oils specifically that anybody would like to learn about? I know somebody mentioned oregano. Nothing specifically? Zengest and air. Perfect. I have them and I'm not sure what to do. Or sorry, not sure. Yeah, okay, to use them correctly. Okay, we're going to be going through that. And also, if you have tips and suggestions as we're going through this workshop tonight, please pop them in the chat because I'll mention and I'll reference ways that I use them and more of the popular ways. But if there's something that you're like, oh, she didn't mention that, you can all, let's co-create and teach together. Okay, love to know more about Copaiba. Oh yes. Okay, this is great. This is right up my street. Okay, brilliant. Well, I'm just gonna, let me see, people are still trickling into the waiting room. So I'm just gonna just approve a few more and then we're gonna get started. Okay. So, welcome everybody if you're just joining. Okay, so tonight you are so welcome to our session on I have my oils, what next? So you're welcome if you're brand new to using essential oils, you may have just gotten your kit, you may not have even opened your oils, or if you are the more seasoned user and you want to really just anchor in and learn new ways of using your oils, you want to learn from a community and you want to get new ideas and new inspiration. So you're welcome, irrespective of where you are. And as I mentioned, we're all going to learn from each other tonight. So we have a jam-packed agenda, lots to get through. What I'd invite you to use the chat as we're going through this, and then any kind of burning questions that you want me to cover, I would say pop them in the chat, but also if you can copy them and put them in at the very end, because I don't want anything to get lost as we work through the material tonight. So the first things first that I'm just going to mention is, majority of people when they're getting started with using doTERRA oils, these are kind of like the typical kits that most people start with. So we look at top 10 oils. So the most popular, the most versatile oils that, that are typically are, they support with all the different types of physical and emotional issues that come up. So I'm going to be anchoring in heavily into these oils, but I'm also going to be referencing other oils. And if you have questions about certain topics or certain oils, or certain different things that come up, we'll bring in more of them, but we're going to be using loads of examples for these top 10. So if you have one of these, if you have these kits, for example, so the Home Essentials kit comes with the diffuser, and then the Family Essentials kit is a smaller kit without the diffuser. But as we go through them, please just let me know if there's something that you want to learn more uses. And as I mentioned, everybody has different experiences. So the first thing that I just want to mention is when you get your oils, and if you haven't already done this, just really familiarize yourself with them. And when we think about our bottles of oil, they all come like this. And they come like this, they don't have any caps on them. But the first thing that you do is when you get your kit is make sure that you put on your cap, because when you have all of these oils that are dotted around your house, when you're looking for them, it's so easy to be able to find them really easily when you use these cap stickers. I know it sounds real obvious, but it's just something that is just so handy. Now, I know there are beautiful boxes that you can get that make your oils look really pretty and you can organize them. And I know some people like to color coordinate them or, put them in alphabetically or whatever floats your boat. But really what I want to encourage everyone to do to really start to anchor in the habits of using oils is to put your oils where you're actually going to see them. Because that phrase, out of sight, out of mind, it's so true. So when you see your oil in front of you in whatever area of your home that oil use is relevant to, you're going to use it. You're more inclined to use it. So for example, in your kitchen, put oils in your kitchen that you're going to use in your kitchen. So for example, if you're filling up your water glass, so for example, lemon, maybe it's peppermint, maybe it's Zengest. So I have grapefruit there because that's an oil that I drink every day that I'm just obsessed with. Similarly, in your living room. So if you have your diffuser as kind of like, if you have it in, if you've got one diffuser, I have diffusers all over my house, but if you have one diffuser, if you like to diffuse in your living room or a common space, On Guard is a great oil to diffuse. I personally love the oil Forgive, and having that like really calming emotional aromatherapy, beautiful aroma, as not just for me, but for emotional support for the whole family. Similarly with the bedroom, pop your lavender in there, maybe your frankincense. I have Copaiba next to my bed and Serenity. Those are oils that I love personally for sleep. In the bathroom, my favorite bathroom oils are tea tree, Clary Calm. So Clary Calm is a roller ball for hormonal well-being that you roll across your abdomen. So beautiful when you get out of the shower. Aroma Touch is gorgeous for, to put in with your bath salts. Deep Blue coconut oil. And then for your office, a great oil to use in your office is, I love diffusing Motivate, but also lemon and peppermint are great for focus. So I suppose the message is really just have them dotted around your house and just, create to be able to support you when you're creating those healthy habits. I'm just going to go back to the waiting room here. Okay, so that's the first thing. So just going back to the very kind of, we think about the basics when we learn about oils initially and, our intro classes that we teach, but really just going back to what oils are. But essentially oils that they come from plants, and they are plants, just like a salad. And like one oil has many uses, when we think of food, let's just say if we think of broccoli, broccoli has so many different benefits and so many different uses, and it works in the body and it supports different things in different ways. So when we think about like our adrenals, or we think about, fiber and all the different benefits. But like oils, we don't need to know everything about the one oil to be able to use it. So similarly, when we think about food, one problem can be addressed by many, many, many different oils. And the beautiful thing when we think about food and compare them to oils is, when we think of, let's just say, tomatoes, so there's a picture of tomatoes in that salad there. The beautiful thing about the oils that we have are the quality of the oils are just, they're on a completely different level of purity. So I don't know if anyone's ever had a salad and they've used the tomatoes, or you've been away somewhere that's really Mediterranean. The food that you get and the flavor and the quality of the vegetables that are grown locally in the regions that have the beautiful climate and the right soil and the perfect amount of sun, they have a completely richer, more beautiful taste, in comparison to, for example, something that's grown in a polytunnel and sprayed with pesticides. So that's the difference when we think about what we have when we have our oils. We're thinking about the oils they're coming from their indigenous environment, and they can be used safely in so many ways. So we're going to be going through those ways and the practical ways that you get to use them. So tonight we're going to be getting inspiration on how we can use them aromatically, so in the air, how we're going to use them physically, and also how we're going to use them internally. And the beautiful thing is that because oils are so multifunctional and they're so supportive in so many ways, and because we have such high quality oils that aren't synthetic or they're not adulterated in any way, is that we can't really go wrong. So don't get overwhelmed, and I know myself, when I started using oils back in 2015, I wanted to know everything about them straight away. And I'm one of those people that want to kind of run before I can walk. But the beautiful thing is we have so many resources here in our doTERRA community that you can tap into. So when I say resources, we can use resources like reference books. I've got a stack of some of my favorite books behind me here. So if we're ever unsure about, supporting the body with different issues or ailments, is that we don't need to know ourselves, and we don't need necessarily another person. We can pull out a book and look it up, and it's going to give us a protocol on how we can use oils to support that issue. So I've included a couple of books here that are some really great starting points if you don't already have these. So Modern Essentials is it's like an essential oil Bible, and it's got a list of all the different types of ailments that you can imagine, and it gives a recommended protocol. The Essential Life is another great reference, and it includes it's a great reference, and it includes loads of advice on how you can create real great lifestyle habits. So for example, when we think about, maybe it might not necessarily be an ailment, but it might be, for example, how to integrate chemical-free cleaning, how to use oils emotionally, and various different ways. And these resources are also available, virtually as well. So you can get apps, and I'll just direct you to Essential Oil Supplies. I have the link down there at the bottom, but Essential Oil Supplies is Dublin-based. Karen O'Neill runs it, and she's got just an Aladdin's cave of all the different tools that you might want to, that if you're looking for something that will support your oil experience and your oil journey, you're going to find it there. And lastly, I just want to reference, there are so many different there are so many different types of groups, like Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, whatever. We're all here collectively across Ireland, but there are many different communities within Ireland, and you can join different groups. And I know corporate, actually, doTERRA corporate run their own customer group. So actually, I'll ask if anyone's and if anyone can pop in the link to maybe the UK and Ireland group for anyone that wants to join it. I'll just go back to the waiting room here. So I suppose just as we get started, I'll just give you a moment to consider, when you enrolled with your oils, you might have joined doTERRA for, a particular reason. So in my personal experience, the reason why I wanted to use oils is because I have PCOS and I wanted to find a natural way that I could support my hormones. That was me. I didn't care about chemical free cleaning. I didn't care about low toxing my home. I just wanted to support my hormones. That was my kind of gateway in. However, as time went on, I learned that all of these different lifestyle factors, they're intrinsically linked. So my lifestyle affected my hormones. So the beautiful thing is with our doTERRA community is that we can continuously learn different topics and learn how different body systems affect other body systems, and we can get like a really rich education from it. So my question to you is, what is it that you joined doTERRA for, and what are the top kind of concerns that you have at the moment that you'd like support with? So I'll just give you a minute to consider that while I just go back to the waiting room here. Welcome to those of you that are just joining in. It's great to see everyone here tonight. Okay. So if you have your list there, just consider that as we go through our material, and then as we get towards the end, hopefully we'll have covered and addressed it, and if not, we can go through it. So now what? Okay, so what are we going to cover tonight? So the first thing is what do I need to know about oil safety? I want to make sure that everyone leaves this class tonight feeling really confident in how they can use their oils, so that you're not walking away going, oh, what if I mix this with this? Am I going to like counteract? I don't know if it's safe to use on my kids. And I want everyone to walk out of this space feeling really, really empowered. I want to cover how you actually use your oils. So the 3 ways that you use it, and we'll get inspiration from other people as well when the dialogue opens up in a little while. And then how you can actually reorder your oils. So there's nothing worse when you are at the very end of your on guard or something like that, when you know that things are brewing. So that's our agenda for tonight. So let's start off with the first way that we use oils, and that's aromatically. So what do we say? What do we mean when we say aromatically? Well, when we smell an aroma, when we use our essential oils aromatically, it's when we're breathing it in. And the beautiful thing about when we're using an essential oil aromatically is that when we smell, we have this really powerful sense of smell. And as we use essential oils, they travel up our nose and they hit our olfactory nerve. And that has a direct impact on our limbic system. So when we think about the limbic system, that's like the emotional seat in our brain. That's like really connected in with our memory, with our emotions. And I don't know if this will relate, but I don't know if you've ever met somebody and they're wearing maybe, fragrance of some description, and then immediately you're like, oh my gosh, that smelled like, a perfume that like my mother wore. And straight away it evokes that memory. So our sense of smell is our most powerful sense. It evokes memory and it evokes emotion almost instantaneous. And the beautiful thing about our oils is that as we use them and as we breathe them in, it's impacting that limbic system. So it can instantly change the way we feel. I'm interested to know if anyone would like to share in the chat, like if you can give me an example of how you've experienced that. So I know a few of you in the chat mentioned, frankincense you use emotionally, but can you share with me maybe an example of some oils that you use? I know definitely after I had my son, he was a couple of months old, and I was experiencing those postnatal blues, and I just lived on citrus oils. And I felt immediately as I popped them into my hands and just breathed them, I just took a deep breath. So for anyone that's new, you can create your own little hand diffuser. So you can put any of your oils in your hands, rub it together, and just breathe. And as you breathe, those aromatic compounds are moving up your up your nose and impacting the olfactory nerve. And it can change your, oh my God, that's gorgeous. It can change your emotional state instantaneously. So I've actually just pulled a bottle of Kananga, which I know isn't the most common oil, but it's a really cheerful, optimistic oil. So that's a way that we use aromatically. We can also use aromatically when we think of diffusing. So diffusing is like, I want you to think of diffusing as in the most low maintenance way of using your oils. You don't have to think about it. They're just in the air. You don't need to worry about, okay, well, where do I put it? What do I mix it with, etc., etc. You just pop your oils in your diffuser. You can use between 4 and 10 drops, and let them diffuse. And the beautiful thing is that as that diffuser is outputting the essential oil into the environment, it's going, not just, it's not staying in one part of the room, it's going to move around. And it'll impact you, of course, but it'll also impact everyone around you. So whether that's, if we think about emotionally, but also even if we think about this time of year, the seasonal problems that are happening. So pollen count is high at the moment. A lot of people are congested. And if you want to be able to naturally support the airways, diffusing aromatically is a great way to be able to support that. And then if we think about even, when bugs and germs and things like that are in our environment, that we can diffuse On Guard. So the blend On Guard, which is really protective to just help all those airborne pathogens, go away, to get rid of them. So I'm just going to, sorry, 1 second. Let me see, go back to the waiting room for a second. Okay, perfect. So these are just a couple of diffusing tips. So number one, always fill the diffuser to the water line. So there's a little red dot in your diffuser. Don't go above that. And you're looking at 4 to 10 drops in your diffuser. A really handy tip is just to keep like a jug or a carafe of water in next to your diffuser. So if you're somebody who's like running back and forth to the tap, having a bottle of water or a jug of water or something there that's easy to just fill it up. It's a handy tip. And also to remember to clean your diffuser, because like any electrical appliance, if you've got particularly hard water, if there's a lot of lime scale, that's going to impact the longevity of your diffuser. So we want to be able to, we want to be able to stretch out the life of our diffuser. My diffusers are years old. We don't have, particularly great water quality, but just if you want to mind your diffuser and also for it to be clean, and to know that when you're putting lemon in your diffuser, that it smells, like that you're not picking up the residual of whatever was left behind. One other tip that I just wanted to show you, actually, because I didn't know this when I started. Can you see that little hole in the side of the diffuser there? I don't know if you can. I'm just going to open up the gallery here. Can you see that?
Yes.
Little hole? Yeah. Okay, great. So that is the diffuser's fuse board in there. So when you're filling up your diffuser, sometimes, when you're rushing, you mightn't even be looking and you might get water over the side. You don't want water to get in there, because like anything, it's fuse board, you don't want electricity and water to mix. So just when you're filling it up, and I know this is a Lumo diffuser, but I know majority of people have the petal one, but just cover the fuse board with your finger as you're filling it up to avoid spills. Now let's just say worst case scenario, you didn't know about this and you got water in there and your diffuser, you notice, isn't working. And so a lot of the time when this problem happens, like, people don't know why it's not working, but always if there's ever a problem with your diffuser, just make sure that you turn it upside down and put it close to a radiator and it'll dry out. And a couple of hours later, the following morning, it'll be working perfectly. So just a little tip that I had to learn the hard way. I just don't want anybody else having the same problem. So let me see here. So let's look at some diffuser ideas and diffuser inspo, and put your own diffuser combos that you love in the chat. Feel free to take a screenshot or a picture if you want of some of these ideas. These are just what I love in our house, and these are pretty calming. But at sleep, diffusing really calming oils before bed is a really great way to promote good sleep hygiene, and to really create a gorgeous environment as you're winding down for bed. So kind of like, I have oils going a lot of the time, throughout our house, but certainly when it comes to bedtime, I'm looking at, okay, let's get like the lavender, the frankincense, the serenity, the copaiba. Somebody asked earlier on how to use copaiba. Copaiba is an amazing essential oil when it comes to sleep. It is so calming. So if you're approaching bedtime and you've had like a really busy day and you've got a lot of anxiousness, copaiba really helps to get into the part of the brain that really calms. Similarly, frankincense is an excellent oil for any kind of anxiousness before bed. So if you find it hard for, your brain to kind of just, wind down with all the thoughts, there are some great oils to use. But again, just creating that environment before bed, of course, for you, but for everybody in the family, so for small children, newborn babies, it's perfectly fine to diffuse. I love diffusing personally because I've learned over the years the impact that synthetic fragrance has on our overall well-being. So synthetic fragrance is typically combined with phthalates, and phthalates are endocrine disruptors. So when I learned about that years ago, I was just, I was horrified, but I committed. I was like, oh, I want to get rid of all fragrance out of my home. And the beautiful thing about oils is that it makes it so easy to low tox and ditch synthetic fragrance. So things like plug-in air fresheners and smelly candles and things that really aren't good for your health. But again, your diffusing makes it so easy because aroma is beautiful, and it can really evoke emotion, and it can change the way that we feel. And there's nothing more beautiful than walking into your house and just smelling that diffuser. It's just like, oh, I'm home. So simply being able to low tox is a with your diffuser is really great. When we think about mood management, so lemon and peppermint is a great combo, as I mentioned earlier on, to promote focus and concentration. And if you want to create like instant happy, so if you've got like grumpy heads in the morning, wild orange and really any of the citrus oils are going to be really great at promoting optimism and happiness. And frankincense as well is beautiful to combine with any of the citrus oils. Excuse me. So I know that this isn't necessarily just a diffuser inspo, but I just wanted to put it in just when we think about aromatic uses. When we think about like deep breathing, and breath work is becoming more and more popular. And we know that, with certain breathing techniques that, when we can really open up the airways, open up the lungs, that we can really soothe our nervous system. So whether that's through meditation, breath work, or even sport, when we want to really optimize and open up the airways, just even by getting some air, so air is the respiratory blend, and putting a couple of drops in your hand, rubbing them together and breathing in, just opens up your airways. And I find whenever I'm doing any kind of like exercise class that I get more out of it, and that I'm not, keeled over, nearly exhausted going through the class. I get more out of it, and I'm less exhausted because I'm getting more oxygen into my body. So for immune protection, diffuse your On Guard. So On Guard is the protective blend. It has essential oils in there that are incredibly supportive for your immune system. So you can simply diffuse On Guard when threats are in the air. So even to give you an example, last night I have a 3-year-old and in creche, hand, foot and mouth, chickenpox, everything is going around. He gets On Guard on his spine in the morning, but because there's a lot of it at the moment, I diffused On Guard after he went to sleep. So I just topped it up with On Guard, and that went with the diffuser that I have. It went for 5 hours. So I know that even though he's getting the topical benefit, he's also breathing it in, and it's getting into his bloodstream that way as well. And similarly with coughs, put air and frankincense in your diffuser, and it'll help support the respiratory system while you're sleeping. So let's think about topical use. So when we use oils topically, I love topical use. Particularly when we think about caring for children, if you have babies, young children, elderly parents, anyone that you want to care for, using essential oils topically is lovely. Through whether it's applying essential oils into the hand, into the back, and human touch is so powerful. It helps to release endorphins that reduce pain and elevate the overall mood. So in this section, we're going to be looking at kind of the typical questions that come up. So dilution. So how do you know when to dilute? Safety tips, and also how do you actually make a roller ball. So of course doTERRA, they have them pre-made for us, but sometimes the oils that we want to use may not necessarily even be available in a roller ball, but we can make anything that we want, and we can totally personalize it to ourselves. So Dilute. So what do we need to know about dilution? Well, you can use a carrier oil, like a fractionated coconut oil, anytime. So there's no right or wrong. Whenever you want to use a coconut oil, you use it. So coconut oil is a carrier oil. So when I talk about a carrier oil is a fat-based lipid. So when we think about an essential oil, I hope this makes sense. The essential oil is the aromatic compounds. So there are these tiny little compounds on the plant, whereas a coconut oil or a carrier oil, so another carrier oil could be like an olive oil or an almond oil or a jojoba seed oil. There's loads of different, essential fatty acid type lipid carrier oils. But coconut oil is the best when we're talking about absorbency for essential oils. And most people are familiar with coconut oil as the coconut oil that's hard that you use for cooking, and you can make DIY products and lotions and potions and things like that out of hard coconut oil. But when you're making rollerball, it's always important that you use the liquid version of it. I've had many people that go and put coconut oil into a pot, melt it down, put in their oils, pour their melted coconut oil over it, and then the following day they turn around and their roller ball is solid. So we don't want to do that. So that's why doTERRA make the liquid version. So when do we use a coconut oil? Well, it's particularly important when we're thinking about young children, babies, and animals. I personally love using coconut oil. It's so hydrating, and it also helps to keep your it helps the essential oil to lock into your skin. So like, this is my skin serum. So instead of using like a fragrance body lotion, I just make my own, and it's a beautiful way to get the emotional support. You get the hydration, and you can totally personalize it to whatever you like. So I'm 20 weeks pregnant, so I'm conscious of stretch marks, and I want to be able to provide really good skin support. So I have oils in there. Actually, I've got copaiba, I've got geranium. What else have I got? I've got Hawaiian sandalwood, and I actually have serenity in there. I love serenity for the skin. It's got, lavender, which is loads of antioxidants, and it's got cedarwood, which is beautiful for the skin. So that's just an example of, just the practical day-to-day uses when it comes to lifestyle. When we're thinking about dilution, it's really important, particularly when we think of the hotter oils. So On Guard, oregano, especially oregano, is very hot. So always make sure that you're diluting it. Cinnamon, clove, deep blue, peppermint. Peppermint isn't necessarily hot, it's more cooling on the body, but it's just, it gives that tingling sensation. So if you're sensitive, it's important to bear that in mind. And if you do get an oil into a sensitive area, and you're like, I want to dilute it down even more, never use water. So the first thing that we think if something is starting to feel warm is, okay, I'll put my hand under a tap. If you got an oil on a sensitive area, we dilute it down further with coconut oil. So if you use water, it drives it in further. And we can stretch the use of our oils with coconut oil. So if you think for a second about Deep Blue. So Deep Blue is the blend that's really, really, really soothing. It's gorgeous for any kind of aches, pains, muscle support. So let's just say I pulled a muscle and I was putting Deep Blue and I put it on my shoulder and I took, say, 2 drops. That 2 drops would only go so far before it would be quite limiting. I wouldn't be able to stretch it over the whole part of my shoulder. Whereas if I got some coconut oil and massaged that in with the Deep Blue, with those 2 drops, I'd be able to cover half my back. So by using a coconut oil or a carrier oil, you're really stretching your oils. And, if you're using 1 to 2 drops per serving, it's not a lot considering, there's 250 drops in a bottle. So as well, you save money. So you're not wasting oils. We want to be real practical. And remember, we only need to use a little bit because they're so potent. So how do we actually use coconut oil? So it's really simple. So I personally love pumps with my coconut oil. So you can get that in the essential oil supply shop that I mentioned. I'm pretty sure that you can get it in your doTERRA shop as well. But you can literally pump a couple of pumps into your hand, like a little puddle, and then you can just pop in a few drops, rub them together and apply them, for example, over the back. That's how I use them, for example, on my toddler. And I love being able to do that massage, and it just makes it easy. But we can also, actually, before I go into that slide, but we can also create our rollerboards for convenience. So the slide that I have here is just an example of what happens when we use essential oil diluted and not diluted. So the neat application is if we were to use essential oils directly to the skin. So you'll see that it's touching the skin, but they're not really locked into the skin or into the location. Whereas when we look at the image on the right, when we combine an oil with the coconut oil, the weight of the coconut oil is going to lock it in. It's going to help the absorbency, and it means that we're going to get more effective localized support. So if you want to keep, let's just say you've hurt your knee, and if you want to keep the deep blue effective in that location for longer, the coconut oil is going to help it do that. So just again to reinforce the dilution. But because of the quality of the oils, a lot of people use them neat, and there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just it's more effective in different ways. So I always encourage and recommend it. So this is just a little dilution guide. So what I recommend is, always use your intuition when you're using oils, particularly on really young babies. So my son, when I say he's the oiliest baby you'll ever meet, he was, my fertility journey involved oils, my pregnancy involved oils, my birth involved a lot of oils. So when he was born, it's not a surprise that literally he was a day old and he was a bit colicky. So I was straight out with the Zengest to support his little digestive system. So I was nervous, even though I was a very well versed oil user, and all my own personal experience, because I had this tiny little human, I was still conscious. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to make sure that I'm diluting appropriately. So I probably over diluted, but it's always better to do less is more, particularly if you're starting out with somebody who has really sensitive skin. But typically speaking, 1 drop of oil with 8 drops of carrier oil for dilution, and probably a little, and if we think about the hotter oils like On Guard, for example, probably diluting that a little bit more. So you're welcome to take a picture or a screenshot of that there, just to give you a bit more insight. So dilution. So as I mentioned, we can just dilute with the bottle and the oil and massage in, we can apply directly, or doTERRA pre-dilute them for us for convenience. So I love my roller balls that doTERRA make, because it saves me a job. If you ask me if I'm if I'm somebody who goes for convenience, or if I'm a bit craftier, I definitely say I'm a convenience queen for sure. So I love having the pre-diluted roller balls. So doTERRA have the top 10 all diluted, because it is, handy to be able to just whip off the lid and apply them directly instead of having to go and grab your coconut oil. So there definitely are benefits to it. But it's equally very simple to make your own. So we're just going to go through how to actually make a roller ball. So the first thing that you need obviously is the glassware. So you can get your glass roller balls. You can either upcycle a bottle that you already have. So that's the image that I have here. So, when I run out of my oils, when I'm running low, what I do is, I just pull off the sticker and I give them a soak. And I let them dry, and then I upcycle and I use the glassware. Or if you don't want to go to the hassle of all that, you can just buy your roller balls on the Essential Oil Supplies website. Like they're so affordable. They're so cheap. They're like so there's a 5-pack for €5, so they're €1 each. So and I think the more you can get sets that you get different types of like amber bottles with like rose quartz tops, and they're infused with crystals, and it can be really, really fun. And you can get all sorts of recipe cards that you can get ideas, particularly when it comes to kids, that make it fun for children, with like little like unicorn stickers and like just little accessories that make it fun, particularly for children. So the first thing that you need is your glassware. The second thing that you need is your oils, and then you just need your coconut oil. So you need to obviously find your recipe. So there are so many different recipes out there. doTERRA's social media accounts, they put up, recipes, different types of combos all the time. I'm sure the person that's introduced you to doTERRA or welcomed you into this community also can plug you into resources where you can get ideas for rotables. And again, the resources that I mentioned earlier on, so the different books, there are tons of recipes on what to make. So it'll tell you. I'll just give you an example. Just super quick, but let's just say you're brand new and you're like, okay, I want to find a recipe to support the immune system. You would literally look up, okay, immune support. And you won't need to do this, by the way, by the time you leave here. We'll give you the immune supporting recipe, but it'll tell you, it might make a recommendation of like 3 or 4 oils of what to use, and you can combine them together to make your rotable. And then you can use your stickers that you got with your starter kit. And that's how you'll do it. So you'll remember. So you'll have your oregano sticker, maybe your tea tree sticker, your lemon sticker, and that's how you'll remember. How's that landing? Is that making sense? I'm just going to open up the gallery here. Have I lost anyone?
No.
Has anyone any questions so far before I continue on?
Hi, Alison. Maggie here.
Hi, Maggie.
Hi, how are you? Thank you very much, by the way. This is fabulous. And thank you, Deirdre Graney, for letting me know about it. This was on. So just around diffusers, I was using the diffuser, and again, you might not be very familiar with animals. I have a few dogs.
Yeah.
And again, a little knowledge is a bad thing, and I don't have a lot of knowledge, so I kind of frighten myself and stop using it.
Mm-hmm.
In case they inhaled peppermint or they got this or they got that. But I don't know if that's just me being paranoid. What's your opinion on that?
So, well, it's not you being paranoid as well, because you're going to get the good, the bad, the ugly from, everything that's out there on social media and Google. And it's a really common question, because we want, like, our pets are part of our family. We want to nourish them. And there certainly is a lot out there that, suggests that, be careful when you're using essential oils with pets, but also remember that there is a lot of toxicity. So when we think about essential oil, the aromatherapy industry specifically, the vast majority of the industry is adulterated. So, we're not exposed to the same level of toxicity. However, the one rule of thumb that I would say for any cat lovers, anyone that has cats, is to not use tea tree, because their livers can't metabolize tea tree the same way humans can. But don't be afraid to use your oils for your pets, even like when it comes to if they've got like on their belly, if there's any redness, if there's any rashes. Lavender is beautiful and calming. Emotionally, animals can get charged when there's a lot going on. Like last week there was really bad thunder and lightning, and I know a lot of animals were just really frightened. Same with Halloween. So you can use your essential oils when it comes to like emotional aromatherapy on your pets. So so don't worry. But there are some great resources out there that are really trustworthy, that we can plug you into as well. So some really great like PDFs and things like that when it comes to animals.
Oh, thanks. Thank you, Alison.
You're welcome. I think Breeda's hand is up. Breeda has a question. No?
Can I just say, Alison?
Yes.
Maggie, I hear you with the pets, and I'm a real animal lover, and I use the oils all the time. And I think one of the really good things is when you're diffusing is just, which you probably know, is to leave the door open so the animals themselves will know what they want and what they don't want. And if they're not comfortable with the aroma, they'll leave the room. But it's really important that we give them that out. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, but I think you're right, Alison. Everything you said was, there's a huge difference in when we Google, what oils are safe for dogs and cats and stuff. And we're talking about different things a lot of the time. I've used neat oils on my dogs, and have had incredible results with them. So they're very, very effective. So don't be too, dilution is the most important thing, like Alison said, I think, with them.
Right, great, thanks. Yeah, because I've got some old dogs here, and I was basically, he's got breathing difficulties, and like he's plodding on and he gets his meds and everything. So I was using peppermint in the diffuser, and the window would be open, but then just I was hearing then that, oh my God, don't use that around the dog. And then again, you go on the internet and anybody can write on the internet, and you're like, oh, I'm terrified. And then again, I used to use the citrus oils for myself because I love the lemon, especially for mood. And again, I just kind of boxed it tidily away. So I just, when it came up here, I thought I'd ask. Thank you.
Yeah, and actually doTERRA, they have a full veterinary panel as well. So, you know, so they really do consider, you know, the whole family, pets included. So there are resources there that won't be too difficult to pull out, to be able to support you, just to give you some more clarity on that. Okay, great. So let me see. Okay, so just a couple of safety tips. So the first safety tip is don't apply oils directly to, you know, up into your nose, into your eyes or your ear canal. So, and I know sometimes we're like, well, if I got an eye infection or if there's conjunctivitis, I want to be able to support my eyes. But really, this is the rule of thumb: not into your eyes, nose, or ear canal. But there are other ways around that. So the first thing is, if you do want to support the eyes, you can apply oils. I would dilute them and I would apply them to the bone. So you're going around the bone socket. Remember, the oils, they have such tiny little molecules. They'll penetrate through the skin and they'll get into the part of the eye that it's needed to. Do not pour them directly in. And the second thing is, don't put them up the nose, but you can create your own inhaler, or you can create a sinus cup. So if you wanted to create, for example, if you're really congested, if you've got any kind of sinus problem, you can create a sinus cup. So getting warm water. We don't use boiling water with oils. It's like, you know, when we overheat, you know, when we overcook food, we destroy the enzymes. It's similar like that with oils. So get warm water and this combination of oils into a cup, breathing it in will really, really help loosen anything that's there impacting the sinuses, and it will really support. And then similarly with ears, don't apply or don't put oils in your ears. But I personally, I can't show you because I've got these big, huge, monstrous headphones on, but getting oils and coconut oil, and I love massaging around the oils, but I know a lot of parents, well, I'm saying parents because particularly when we think about like ear infections that come up a lot with children, getting a piece of cotton wool, applying oils to the cotton wool and placing it outside of the ear. You know, they can get that support that way. Just to share that lavender, basil, tea tree, helichrysum are absolutely amazing for any kind of ear problems. So when we think about ear problems with toddlers, it comes up a lot with teething. So it's great to have that support to be able to, to be able to just alleviate pain, inflammation, discomfort, anything that's coming up. Safety tip number 2 is that citrus oils are photosensitive, so do not apply them to your skin and go out into the hot sun. So I know we've just gone through a beautiful June with stunning weather. So really important that when we're using our essential oils, particularly the citrus ones, that we're not putting them on the skin and going out, because citrus oils attract the sun, and we want to make sure that we're protecting our skin. So if you just remember that as a rule of thumb. I have an image here that captures most of the citrus oils. Remember that blends as well have some citrus oils in them. There is, if you want to go ahead and take a picture of that, that's a handy little reference before I move on. Let's just say you put on oils, let's just say you put on air. So for example, air is really popular at the moment because of the high pollen count. So when you put on air, there's lemon in air. But if you do have to go out, just make sure that you're covering up the area. But what I personally would just vouch for, and the one exception to this rule, is green mandarin oil. I love green mandarin because it is a beautiful oil. It's a gorgeous aroma, but this isn't impacted by photosensitivity, because when the green mandarin is harvested, those photos or those compounds that cause photosensitivity, they haven't matured, or they haven't ripened in the plant or in the oil yet. And because those compounds aren't there, it means we can go straight out into the sun with the green mandarin on, which is really helpful when we think about any kind of mucus buildup, any kind of allergies that we might be experiencing. The green mandarin is beautiful to use topically. However, as I mentioned, all of that, don't not use your oils for, because they're a lifesaver for so many people. When we think about, allergies and hay fever and things like that, we can just use them differently. And that might look like using them aromatically or using them internally. So why do we use oils for internal use? Well, we can use them to help with so many different reasons. So if we think about detoxifying the body, so with all the different pollutants and toxins that we're exposed to every day, our liver gets overloaded. And we can put our citrus oils into water, which help to detoxify the body. So a really great tip is starting your day by putting 2 drops of lemon into a glass of water. Even like, if not, like slightly warm water is really, really great at supporting detoxification. We can use oils as well internally for, when we think about infants as well. So copaiba is an amazing oil when we think about pain and inflammation. So again, my little fella, he gets copaiba when he was only very little, just literally like this and rubbed on his gum. Like, you can rub them out on the jaw, but we got the best, and he got the best support with the copaiba. It was like amazing. I don't know how parents deal with teething without oils. It blows my mind. But they're just such a godsend. And then using, you can add Metapower or grapefruit to water as well. So if you find that you get sugar cravings and if you want metabolic support, grapefruit and Metapower, which is the metabolic blend, really helps support metabolism. And as well, we have all these oils they're so beautiful at flavoring food really naturally. So you can use your oils when it comes to cooking. So, like use your lemongrass in, your curries, or use your peppermint in making mint choc brownies. Or I know I've got some delicious treats here, and we're talking about wellness, but it's just an example of how you can use oils when it comes to cooking. Wild orange in a salad dressing is so beautiful. And again, when we're talking about using oils in this way, we're talking about doTERRA oils because they're tested. So first of all, they're grown and where they're indigenous to. They're very gently harvested. They're distilled gently, and they get tested. And they get tested here in Ireland, in Cork. So last April, there was a gang of us that are in this community here down in Cork. And then, there was another event recently, but we got to go down and we got to experience the microbiology labs, see and meet the different chemists where they do the extensive amounts of testing to make sure that every single drop that we take is safe for us to do so, because essential oils get contaminated left, right, and center when we think about the essential oil industry. So if you do have that bottle of synthetic lavender in the press, do not be putting them into your water and drinking it. So this is just a quick reference guide if you want to take a quick snapshot. So this is just, how much you should be using when we're talking about internal use. Remember, use small amounts and often instead of loading up, with a huge amount of oil. And it's not that if you were to overload and drink too much, anything extreme would happen, but to begin with, it's a waste. And number 2, your body will probably go into like a detox mode. So you might feel, a bit fatigued, maybe you've got a bit of a headache, but this is the rule of thumb. And to be honest, when we think about, internal use for an adult, like that's 24 drops. That's a drop an hour. If you were to discount the hours that you're asleep, that's a huge, huge amount. So that's what's recommended. So these are, I'm just going to show these to anybody that's new. So let's face it, not everything tastes as delicious as lemon and wild orange. Sometimes we need to use oils that are really supportive for what we want to deal with. So let's just say we have a really bad bug or a flu. And the suggested oils are like oregano and melaleuca, like they're hot. Oregano particularly is a really hot oil. It wouldn't be pleasant to drink. Of course you can gargle it, but you wouldn't enjoy it. It doesn't taste that great. But what you can do is doTERRA make it really easy. So they make these little capsules. So you can like DIY and create any of your capsules that you want to make. So you literally would follow your protocol that you would see in your resources. So whether that's through an app or in a book, and you would just make it and take it internally the same way that you would any kind of a pill or a tablet or a supplement. And I've got a recipe there, and this is called the Flu Bomb, or you could call it a flute bomb. The flute is just a word to basically help you remember what goes into it. So this is the most amazing protocol when you are starting to feel under the weather. So flute, so the F for frankincense, L for lemon, O for on guard, O for oregano, and T for tea tree. And take 2 drops each, pop it into your veggie cap, and you can take it internally that way, and it's amazing. It just helps you feel so much better, so much quicker. So that's a lovely handy little recipe. And doTERRA make it really easy. So let's just say, for example, so doTERRA, so that example that I just gave with the veggie cap, whilst as handy as that is, so easy to make, sometimes convenience is key. And it's easy to be able to grab something that's already pre-made. So if we look at this, for example, here, this bottle of Tri-Ease, so doTERRA have literally doTERRA have literally created they've basically encapsulated them for us. So in this this blend called Tri-Ease, it's basically lemon, lavender, and peppermint combined, which is amazing for allergies. So lavender is an incredible antihistamine, lemon is really cleansing, and peppermint is brilliant for the airways. But if you're dosed and you're, for example, on the go, you mightn't have necessarily the flexibility to be pulling out of all your oils. So it's great that doTERRA pre-make them for you. So that's an example of a supplement, or of the oils that they put in a capsule form. So I just have referenced here that this is oils only. They also create, we can also take oils internally. So for example, we have the Serenity oil, and doTERRA create a complex. So complex is where they bring together the oils and they enhance them with herbs. So Serenity is the blend that is just incredible for helping you have a much more restorative deep night sleep. If you're a Serenity lover, pop it into the chat. I'm sure the chat will be hopping now. But a really, really amazing complex. So we're not only getting the aromatic impact of the oil as we diffuse, but we're getting the potency of herbs as well. So we're having such a great night's sleep. It's helping us wake up totally refreshed and restored. And then thirdly, doTERRA have supplements. So when we think about our nutritional supplements that doTERRA create, they create the nutrition, but they power them up with oils. So even if we think about, I have the omegas here, there are fish oils, but they're also powered with frankincense. So we have frankincense in there. We have clove, which is an incredibly powerful antioxidant. We have blends in there that are really good for the tummy. So, doTERRA just thought of all the different ways that we can really nurture our body when we think about nutrition, about oils, and how we can use, different types of super herbs. And they make it so easy for us to do that. So moving on, I know we're probably coming close to time, but just how do we reorder? So very simply, so everyone, when they get started with their oils, they also get access to their own doTERRA account, an online account. You have your own username and your password, and it's basically your online health shop. So there's I just have a list here of all, I think I've included everything, of all of the different things that you can get throughout your doTERRA account. So of course you can obviously get your oils, your blends, our coconut oil, the accessories like, our veggie caps, supplements, but they make low tox living so easy. So as we progress throughout the next, I think it's 12 weeks, our weekly sessions here in the summer series, there's going to be so many different protocols, so many different things that you're going to learn about. When we think about Anne's here, Anne's going to be leading, about gut health. And you're going to be getting different ideas on how lifestyle is influencing your overall well-being. And the beautiful thing is that doTERRA make it really easy to be able to low tox, because they create essential oil infused products that are natural, and we're not exposed to fragrance, phthalates, you know, nasties that we see typically, you know, on store shelves. So it makes it really easy. And just recently, doTERRA launched a mineral sun care range here in Europe, which is really exciting. To finally have that, we've been praying for that to come out for a long time. So it's great to see it there available now here in Europe. So with your doTERRA account, you have two options of how you order. So you've number one, you just go on and order, like, you know, you're just doing a standard order the same way you'd order, I don't know, anything online. And then we also have our very popular loyalty rewards program. I call it the lifestyle revamp program because for me, it helped me completely low tox my lifestyle. And that's why I call it the lifestyle revamp program. But it's basically a monthly wellness box that you personalize every month. So, you know, for me, when I started using oils, I was mad about Clary-Cam. I was mad about, you know, my grapefruit and my lemon, and I was using Intune a lot for focus, a huge amount. And what I found was that, you know, I was going through, like, for example, my Clary-Cam, my hormone blend every month. So I would need to replenish that. And then as I started learning about lifestyle, I was like, okay, well, I don't want to be using my deodorant that has toxins in it. So it was an easy switch to a natural deodorant. I didn't want to use the chemical-based toothpaste, so I switched over to the doTERRA toothpaste. So they make it really, really easy. So every month you get to re-examine, okay, well, what's the switch that I want to make this month? But there's huge benefits with it, you know. So when we think about the loyalty rewards program, first of all, you've got a 25% discount. So you're getting like wholesale prices. You get between 10 and 30% back in points on what you spend. That is huge. So my order is always like minimum 100 every month. By the time I get my supplements, my skincare, my deodorant, my oils, like it's, you know, there's, when we think about a cart, so I get €30 worth of product that I can get the following month to just redeem for free. It's optional to join. You can cancel at any time. You can customize your order. And the beautiful thing is it's a really clever way of building up free products. So when you spend 125 PV, it's called. So in doTERRA, PV I want you to think of as like kind of doTERRA dollars. When you spend 125 PV, so it's nearly like €1 is a point, you get a free product. So this month the product is white grapefruit. You get your shipping reimbursed to you in the form of points. You get deeper product discounts, and you just get access to way more. It's just better value. Overall. So this is kind of how it would look. So your first 3 months on the program, on what you buy, you get 10% back. The next 3 months you get 15, and it moves up in 5% increments until you get to a year. So your birthday with doTERRA, at your doTERRA birthday, you get 30% back, and you stay there. So you know, as long as you're in the loyalty rewards program, you get your 30% back. So it's fantastic. So there's just a couple of tips here. So your points are credited around the 15th of the month, and they expire 12 months after the date of issue. So I know a lot of people, they love to hoard their points. I'm one of them as well. It takes a lot for me to, I try my best to save it, particularly when it's coming up to like Christmas and I want to get gifts. But your points can be used to purchase products, and you can redeem them on the phone if you're talking to customer service, or you can do it through your account. There is a small redemption fee when you're redeeming them of €2. You must be part of the LRP for 60 days before you redeem. You can, if you cancel and opt out of the LRP, just make sure that you use your points, because if you don't use them, you lose them. You can't like redeem them like a cash, you know, like you can't pay for something half cash, half points. If you need to cancel your LRP, do it by phone, and doTERRA sends you a reminder 3 days before it's due to roll. And so you know, okay, time to change my LRP, and you just go in and update your cart. So they make it very easy. I just went in earlier on just to give you an idea. So when you log on to the website, it'll give you, you know, to let you know what the free product of the month is. So the free product of the month is available up until the 15th of the month. And when you go online, you can literally, if you're like, I want to look for something for example, chemical-free cleaning, and you just click on the icon and it'll bring you to the, you know, the home care section, and you can, you know, shop by what it is, by purpose. And this is how it looks in your loyalty rewards program. So you build up a bank of points, and it'll tell you what your credit level is, and it'll tell you if you've any expiring. So yeah, so it's easy to set up. So when you log in, there's two ways of ordering. You can either place a standard order or you can create a template. You set up your date that you want it to roll. So you choose that. So if you want to get the free product of the month, you have to place it before the 15th. Or you can pick any date up until the 28th of the month. And then let's just say your order is, you set it up for the 15th, but you need that bottle of Claricam before you kill somebody. You need to get it quick. You can just process your order now, and they can just ship it out earlier. So it's really simple to use. And the best thing I'd say to you is it's simple, you know, but if when you're setting it up and you're not sure, just ask the person who introduced you into doTERRA, and they'll help you get sorted. So let me see. I think I've covered everything. And I'm going to move over to the chat now. I'm conscious as well that, let me see, that we are gone slightly over. So what I'll do is I'll stop sharing my screen, and I'll open up the chat in a second, but please feel free to unmute yourself with any questions. I actually see there are 2 hands raised, so I'm going to go to those first. Okay, let me see. You're coffee loving. You're talking my language. Who's that?
Hi, I'm Mike.
Mike, hi.
We were talking about dogs and pets earlier, and I learned that I think it's there's a certain oil that you're not actually now to use in your pets at all. In citronella, I think.
Oh, citronella. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to have a look and see what's recommended here in the resources behind me. If there's any kind of you know, warnings, but possibly. But the main one that I believe is tea tree for cats specifically.
Tea tree and yeah, citronella. I've heard things about it, like, you know.
Yeah.
It's hard to know sometimes.
Yeah, I know, but I do know people, for example, that have horses and use citronella for mites and fleas. And Aideen, I know you mentioned earlier on about, are you still there? I know you've got a passion for all things equestrian, but citronella, I know people that use it. But I'll look at that in a second. But thank you for sharing that.
And also, I don't know if anyone else here has any people with disabilities or autism. Be good to find some oils for that. But I think Serenity and probably lavender are good, but good to find like a combination or.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'd invite anyone to mute themselves, but just from the testimonials and the experiences from the parents that I know that are supporting, you know, children, for example, with autism particularly, vetiver is a really powerful oil when we think about getting very, very centered. Vetiver, balance, and wild orange. That combination, that trio is very, very supportive.
And Alison, I'll just add in there that Copaiba, for anyone that has additional needs or you know, needs a little bit of support. My own son has kind of autism, and the Copaiba is excellent, but it's the consistency of using the oils that is where the magic comes in. And to diffuse them in a bedroom at night particularly is effective. I know you mentioned a lot, but with the ADHD, diffusing at night and all the woody oils along with Copaiba, but always to add in wild orange or something citrusy to uplift it as well. But they would be my go-to for that.
Thanks a million, Donna.
I'd also say on autism, just an answer to that, by Truman's neurological protocol, very, very good. And in addition, I suppose a lot of people will have problems with digestive function. So you're always going to be doing a 2-pronged approach, if not more, because immunity is involved, gut is involved, brain is involved. You know, it's not a simple thing. So I like, if depends on how bad the gut is, I often alternate the neurological and the digestive protocol. So you're looking at repairing on all levels.
All right, cool.
And also, I just want to mention about Anne's session that she's hosting. You might remind me of the date, Anne, if you know it offhand. But just when you are talking about gut, that, you know, if anyone wants to join.
I think it's the beginning of August. The first week. I think it's the first Tuesday in August.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's the first. First of the first.
First of the 8th, yeah. So that'll be on digestive health. All of them are going to overlap, and every talk is going to give a full view by the end of the 12 weeks. I really think we'll have covered the majority of health issues that come up.
Yeah. And like tonight, in a way, is like almost like an intro, because it's quite light, like it's very general. But then as well, it's like, look at the schedule and look at the agenda and like cherry pick, you know, what is it that I really want to learn about? Great if you can join all of them, but like if there's a really, you know, pressing area that you want to delve into, like the presenters are fabulous for the next 12 weeks. I'm so excited about this series for myself. So yeah, so Breda, your hand is up. I don't know if your hand is up, but I don't know if you can unmute. It shows the phone and a mute symbol through it. Might come back to you.
While we're waiting for Breda to come on, just sorry, I was having my dinner. I have this book, it's backwards there on your screen, but it's Essential Oils for Dogs. And you coffee loving person was asking about citronella, and it doesn't actually come up in the list, but it's a little bit vague. You know, that they have a list of oils that are not suitable for close proximity with dogs. And none of them are what you'd want to be diffusing anyway. So, you know, I think that's always an indicator. You know, clove, horseradish, anise, juniper, wintergreen, thyme, yarrow, melaleuca. Well, perhaps melaleuca or tea tree. So, you know, again, if you're diffusing citronella, it's probably going to be outside. You know, if you're in, or if you're applying it to you, and your animal's just going to stay away. So, you know, it's not an oil I would apply topically to a dog. But it's not showing up in that list. But that's not to say that what you may have read is correct, but I can't actually give you the information on that one because it's not an oil I use very often.
Thanks, Aideen. I know what you mean. It's, well, I think I did find it somewhere on doTERRA over the years. Anyway, the reason I'm called Your Coffee Loving Techie Teacher, because I am a techie teacher, and I sell reishi coffee, so that's the inspiration for the name.
Very cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Maggie.
Hi, how are you? Yeah, my question is, I am the girl with the pretty box, and I have them all stored lovely and would forget to use them. So my question is, I used to leave them around the place. Now I do have copaiba in the kitchen, but I have it really safe. But like when you were saying you had them dotted around the house, I know they're in a brown glass bottle, but does the whole daylight thing affect them? Because I'm a bit vampirish about them. The light.
No, you're right. I would say just keep them out of, you know, like the bright light. Like even there are a few that I would have kept, for example, on my windowsill in my kitchen. But when the sun was coming through, they, you know, I moved them. So it depends on how fast and how quick, like how long it takes you to go through a bottle. Like I go through, like citrus oils, for example, I go, like they wouldn't be longer than 2 months, for example, there. But if you want to keep your oils, you know, like they'll last longer if you keep them out of sunlight. The one, you know, the stickier oils like vetiver and myrrh, I know some people, they keep them in the fridge. I don't personally, but it stops particularly myrrh. If you've got myrrh, it can crystallize, and it can make it really hard to get the lid off. Supposedly when you put it in the fridge, I only learned that actually, Louise is on, she had a class at the weekend and I learned that. See, we all learn from each other, but But yeah, I don't keep them, for example, like in a box, because I forget about them. That was my thing that I learned. I was like, gosh, if it went out of sight, out of mind. So if you want to
I
keep them,
have them
because
in the utility room, so I'm in there at least 3 times a day feeding dogs. So that's, I can do frankincense in the back of my neck. It was a tip I got from Anne. And then if I think, oh, I'll have this today, I'll kind of do it at that time. But yeah, there's days you're like, you don't see them because they're in the box.
yeah.
So okay, that's great. Just one question there on adrenals. Is there any, like, the kind of the dreaded menopause or postmenopause? Is there anything kind of like little mix that you would do, Alison, for?
Yeah, so well, just firstly for adrenals, and then I'll invite others from the floor to speak up. But for the adrenals, basil is a beautiful oil for adrenal support. Yeah, so massage it, get it, get your basil and some coconut oil, and just massage it over the adrenals. It's one of my favorite ones, particularly for energy. Emotionally, it's the oil of, I don't know if it's the oil of energy. This is the emotions book. It's the oil of hang on, I've opened this can of worms now. It's the oil of renewal, I think. Let me see. Basil, yeah, the oil of renewal. So it helps you to feel energized, renewed, rejuvenated, rested, and strengthened. So there is the physical aspect and the emotional aspect. And then really when it comes to nurturing your adrenals by, giving your adrenals really high quality supplementation, from a cellular level. And then when it comes to menopause, Clary Calm is a beautiful oil. So what I would do is I would get that blend and I would roll that across the abdomen, so hip to hip. And then there's, the different things when we think about menopause. So for hot flashes, getting peppermint and putting it into a spray bottle with water is extremely cooling. It could be very, very relieving. And then when we think about progesterone, so, progesterone is some, menopause hormones are depleted and, they drop. So when we think about progesterone, low progesterone is a problem with a lot of women. And grapefruit is an incredible oil for progesterone. Yeah. I love progesterone. PCOS as well. For me, I had low progesterone, and that's why I'm obsessed with it. And also when we think about the impact that stress has on hormonal well-being. So when we have high cortisol levels in our body, it depletes progesterone. So really, staying on top of the emotional aromatherapy, the mood management side of it.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Your show's brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it and found it helpful.
Thank you.
Elaine?
Yeah, hi. I just thank you for all the great information. It's fantastic.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. So how do you use the grapefruit then for progesterone?
I just put it into water and drink it.
Okay.
You can make a roller ball. So around the time that I was trying to get pregnant with my first son, I made a roller ball. I was very conscious. I was like, I want to do what I can to promote progesterone, because you need progesterone to get pregnant. It's progestation. So I put in it oils that are really supportive for progesterone. So other oils, so grapefruit is the foundational one that I love, but I also put in, I think it's like oregano and tea tree. I have a feeling maybe marjoram, but into a roller ball. And I used to always roll that across my womb area. But taking it internally is perfect. So you can use it topically.
For the hot flashes, then maybe you could put peppermint and grapefruit in a roller bottle and use that, could you? At the same time.
You could. It depends. So I suppose it's the refreshment of the peppermint in the spray. I'd probably avoid using grapefruit in the same bottle. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but just because if we think of photosensitivity, so during the summer. So, so grapefruit is a citrus oil, so it'll attract the sun. So I don't want anyone wearing citrus oils on their face as they go out. But if it was November, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. But yeah, I would probably stick with the peppermint and then take the grapefruit internally or use it topically over the womb area.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Comments? No?
Just thank you, Alison.
Yeah, just.
I was learning there as well.
Thank you very much, Alison.
You're very welcome.
That was very interesting.
I'm delighted that it was
You
helpful.
made it. You made the PowerPoint everything very light and easy, and very easy for everybody to take in, and your energy and everything was like that. Really, really, thank you so much.
Oh, that's so nice.
And I'm
Gosh.
looking forward to when my pack arrives. I'm looking forward to start taking my power pack when it arrives.
Did you get, Mary, did you
I ordered
get
it.
the top 10, is it?
Got the top 10, yes.
Oh, you're just going to, you won't know yourself.
I won't know it. I'm going to swear by these then.
Yeah. And get them straight out, caps on, smell them, and
Exactly.
plug yourself into
I
community.
have 3 cats as well. I heard you mention of the pet, 3 little cats as well.
Yeah, so great that it came up today. So just avoid
Yes.
the tea tree, you
Yeah.
know, when it comes to them.
Yes.
Well, best of luck when they come, and yeah, delighted that it was helpful.
It was a great call. Alison, I've never met you before, but it's a pleasure to meeting you.
So nice to meet you as well.
I know, so you know Catherine, and I'm just trying to get the connection.
Catherine, yes. Do you mean Catherine in this group?
Catherine or Zete.
Oh yes, of course, yes. So Catherine,
Yeah.
and she's going to be teaching on skin in I think 3 weeks.
Yeah, the 25th.
Yeah.
Schedule.
Yeah.
I was just trying to. So how do you? I'm trying to place how you know her and all that.
So yeah, so well, the beautiful thing about doTERRA as a community is that we all are connected as like one big kind of like oil family. So a lot of the people that are in this group we may not necessarily have met like personally, but we're all connected through all of these different types of webinars and trainings. And then, you know, keep your eyes peeled for like the in-person events, because they do come up. And we had an event in Donegal on Saturday, and it's amazing the energy when you get people together and, you know, sharing tips and what works for one person, what works for another. And so as a community, we all just build friendships and relationships and over time, and yeah, so it's a really lovely space to be in. So I'm looking forward to having glowing skin after Catherine's session on the 25th.
Yes, because I actually have acne rosacea.
Okay, so I'm sure Catherine will be
Yeah,
covering those, covering all types of, you know, skin conditions.
For everyone who, she's got a lovely cleanser that really calms your skin down. So because it uses essential oils. So
beautiful. Looking forward to it.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
I'm just going to jump in because I just seen Anna McCarthy just asked there about, are the sessions being recorded to watch on replay? If you miss a session, and yeah, they'll all be recorded, and each session will be up for 1 week. So this session will be going out tomorrow, and it'll be available to watch until next Tuesday, and then the new session will come the following day. So each week you have a week to watch it, and again, that's just to give yourself a bit of like push, because sometimes if we leave stuff on the long finger, you don't actually get around to watching these things. So I hope that answers that, Anna.
Deirdre, I sent you PDFs there on dog care and horse care. They're two, I think they're doTERRA PDFs on advice on I don't have one on cats, but there is one on dogs and horses.
Okay, I don't know if I can send that out with.
I didn't know how to attach it onto the it's Niall. I should have sent it in. Niall seems to be able to get everything up.
Oh, sorry, I'm on my phone. I'm on the computer, not my phone. Sorry, Anne. You might have sent it on WhatsApp, did you?
I sent it on WhatsApp and email. But
is it a link?
No, they're PDFs, essential oils for dogs and essential oils for horses.
But did you get them as a PDF? Did you find them as a link? I might be able to attach a link onto the email. I'd work out some way of getting them to the email through a link or that.
And
I
also
got the doTERRA Vet, because she did the course. there's a training course for people who are interested in animals that you can do a course on oil.
And
Maybe
also-
we need to do an animal night.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's and also the Essential Life book, they've got a section as well on pets.
Yeah, if you just Google it as well, like, as in the essential oil vet, is that what you just did, Anne? And a PDF came up.
And no, Shauna gave me this one, but she did do the course with the Essential Oil Vet, but I just don't know how to attach it onto on this one. So nice, just a 2-page PDF. It's that's all.
Thanks, Anne.
Can't help you. Not able to attach.
No, don't worry. Thank you though. Yeah,
You can send it. Well, Maggie, I can send it on to you, or Anne, you can send it to Maggie.
I can
Anyway.
send
Yeah.
Does anybody
That
else
would
want
be
it
fine.
specifically? And I can get it sent to you.
Yeah, that would be amazing actually, because the old guy I've got, I'm trying to give him that happiness, because he's, oh, how would you say, he's the vets have him on different things to perk him up, but I just know he's still very emotionally reactive.
Yeah.
And I basically, while he's here, I want to give him a great time, you know, and not kill him with oil. So thank you.
Maggie, I think frankincense is always a great oil to go to for emotional support for animals as well.
Oh, really? Franklin? Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't think you could. Okay, thanks, Aidan.
Frankincense.
Mhm.
Aidan, we met each other before, didn't we?
Frankincense for dogs.
I don't know, did we? I have a terrible memory.
I think we did, and you used to have terrible memory.
Oh gosh.
I have found diffusing lavender in the evenings has actually calmed down my dog, as he used to be quite anxious. So I have found that. Yeah.
Okay,
Anyway.
thanks.
Lavender is great, and just to rub it up along the spine as well, and I think calming your own energy as well when you're around animals is really important, because if your dog is stressed with, as you were talking about earlier, Alison, thunder and lightning or fireworks or whatever, if they frighten you, your animal is going to pick up on that as well. So it's to try and calm yourself as well. So don't, remember to do some deep breathing exercises and inhale those oils for yourself, before you can support your animal.
Yeah, I used to put a couple of drops on his dog blanket, and then he'd see me coming with the lavender, and he'd start barking because he knew I wanted to calm him down. But it worked, over time it worked.
Yeah, there's there's a whole school of thought about, you can put oils on their collars for flea repellent and stuff like that. It's a bit invasive sometimes, I think. I'm not a huge fan of doing that, because if somebody decides that I should wear Chanel No. 5, I would drop dead if they put that on me, and I had to walk around with it all day. I mean, I've had people hug me who wear perfume, and I'm like, I have to change my clothes now because it's obnoxious, it's invasive, it's horrible for me. So with their sense of smell being so much more heightened than ours, and if we put oils on them in their bed that they don't like, they can't get away from it.
Mm-hmm. No, I firmly believe he loves lavender now, though.
Well, if you know he loves it, that's great. But
Yeah.
then that's fine, But it's just something to be mindful of. Is not, pushing them in. There's a great thing called zoopharmacognosy, where they can, read the animal's reaction to oils and herbs, and also it's about their own self-selection of them. So, you can introduce oils to animals from the bottle and let them smell them and see how they react and see what ones they're drawn to.
Okay.
Actually, it just reminded me there, this week I came across, I hadn't used spikenard in a long time, and I used it or whatever, and then a while later my cat was up at me and he was biting the hand off me, and I was like, what is wrong with him? Like, he was literally trying to chew my hand. And then I remembered, cats, for some reason, they are absolutely obsessed with spikenard. Like, it's like a drug to them. Like, if you show your cat, if you have spikenard and you have a cat, just let them have a sniff of it and they'll go, it's like what's that, the other stuff that cats use, Oh, the catnip. You know the catnip, that plant, like they go crazy. It's like, but it has a euphoric effect, let's say catnip. But I'd say spikenard does the same same thing. He literally like digging into my hand, biting it. So if you have spikenard, just let the cat smell it and you'll see they go crazy for it.
Wow.
You
So-
just jogged that in me there, Aideen.
So I'm going to stop recording. And